Mark Daniels was, by all accounts, a man who seemed to have everything going for him. At 35, he had built a life many would envy. A successful career as an architect, a supportive circle of friends, and above all, a beautiful and loving wife, Claire. Their relationship was the kind most people dream of. From the moment they met, there had been an undeniable connection between them, one that deepened over time and weathered the inevitable storms of life. Claire had always been Mark's greatest blessing. Intelligent, compassionate, and full of life, she was the kind of woman who left a lasting impression on everyone she met. From the beginning, Mark was enamored by her infectious laugh and her ability to find joy in the smallest things. Together, they seemed unstoppable, a team united by love and mutual respect. But even the most picturesque relationships are not immune to doubt. A seed of insecurity. For the first few years of their marriage, Mark and Claire's life was idyllic. They traveled, hosted dinner parties, and supported each other through the demands of their careers. The only shadow in their otherwise bright life was their struggle to conceive. Despite trying for years and consulting numerous doctors, they remained childless. While Mark and Claire had accepted this as their reality for the time being, others were less understanding. Friends, colleagues, and even distant relatives began to speculate. Whispers about their situation grew louder, and while Mark tried to ignore them, the words eventually seeped into his thoughts. "She's too perfect to be true," one colleague had remarked casually during a lunch break. "Maybe she's not even trying to have kids," another added, "or maybe there's someone else." At first, Mark brushed these comments off as baseless gossip. Claire had never given him any reason to doubt her. She was affectionate, attentive, and open, but as the months went by, he started noticing small changes in her behavior. Claire, who had always been carefree about leaving her phone lying around, now kept it with her at all times. She began stepping out of the room to take calls and seemed distracted on occasion. Mark told himself it was nothing, that Claire was simply stressed from work or their ongoing struggle with infertility. Yet, the seed of doubt had been planted, and it began to grow. The turning point. One evening, as they sat together watching a movie, Claire's phone buzzed on the coffee table. She glanced at it and quickly picked it up, stepping into the kitchen to take the call. Mark watched her go, a pang of unease settling in his chest. Who could she be talking to so privately, he wondered. When Claire returned, she was smiling as though nothing was amiss. "Sorry, it was just my mom," she said casually, sitting back down beside him. But Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Was it really her mother, or was there someone else? The doubt gnawed at him, growing stronger with each passing day. He started noticing other things. Her new outfits, the way she seemed to glow with happiness, even when he felt stressed or tired. It wasn't long before he began to question everything. The plan Mark's unease reached a breaking point one night, after hearing yet another round of gossip at work. His colleagues' words echoed in his mind, filling him with a sense of paranoia he couldn't escape. "Maybe I need to know the truth," he thought. "What if she's hiding something from me?" But how could he confront her without proof? The idea of accusing Claire outright felt wrong. After all, she'd always been honest with him. Instead, Mark decided to test her loyalty in a way that would reveal her true feelings. He would write her a farewell letter. The plan was simple. He would leave the letter in a place where she'd easily find it, then hide and observe her reaction. If she was truly loyal, she would be heartbroken and try to reach out to him. But if she had been unfaithful, perhaps she would use his departure as an excuse to call someone else. Mark spent hours crafting the letter. It was heartfelt but vague, expressing his doubts without accusing her of anything directly. He wrote about feeling distant and needing time to reflect on their relationship. As he signed his name at the bottom, his hands trembled. Part of him hated what he was doing, but the other part needed answers. The test. The next day, Mark waited for the right moment. Claire had taken the day off to run errands, so he placed the letter on the kitchen counter, where she was sure to see it. Then, he hid in the wardrobe of their bedroom, leaving the door slightly ajar so he could hear everything. Time seemed to crawl as he sat in the dark, his heart pounding with anticipation. When Claire finally returned, he heard the sound of her footsteps in the kitchen. There was a pause, followed by the faint rustle of paper as she picked up the letter. For a moment, there was silence. Then came a quiet sob. Mark's chest tightened. Was this the reaction of a guilty woman caught off guard, or of a wife devastated by her husband's words? He strained to hear more as Claire began dialing a number on her phone. "Mom," she said, her voice trembling. "Mark left me. I don't understand what's happening." Mark froze. She wasn't calling a lover. She was calling her mother. As he listened, she poured out her heart, talking about how much she loved him and how blindsided she felt by his sudden departure. Tears welled up in Mark's eyes. He had been so blinded by his insecurities that he hadn't considered the pain his actions would cause her. But just as he was about to step out and confess everything, Claire made another call. "Sarah," she said softly, speaking to her best friend. "Mark left me. I don't know what I did wrong. Do you think he's okay?" Her words were filled with concern, not guilt. It was clear she had no idea why Mark had written the letter, and her love for him was evident in every word she spoke. The realization Mark couldn't bear to hide any longer. He stepped out of the wardrobe, his face flushed with shame. Claire turned to him, her tear-streaked face filled with shock and confusion. "Mark?" she whispered. "What's going on?" I'm so sorry," he stammered, unable to meet her gaze. "I wrote that letter because I let my doubts get the better of me. I thought maybe you were hiding something from me." Claire stared at him in disbelief. "You thought I was cheating on you?" Mark nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "I know it was wrong, Claire. I should have talked to you instead of letting my insecurities take over." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Claire shook her head, a mixture of hurt and disappointment in her eyes. "Mark," she said quietly, "I've always been honest with you. I've loved you through everything, our struggles, our triumphs. How could you doubt me?" Her words cut deep, and Mark felt a wave of guilt wash over him. "I don't have an excuse," he admitted. "I was wrong to test you like that. I let other people's opinions cloud my judgment." Claire sighed, her expression softening. "Mark, we faced so much together. We promised to trust each other, remember? That trust is what's kept us strong. But if we let doubt and rumors creep in, we'll lose everything we've built." A new beginning. That night, Mark and Claire talked for hours. Mark apologized repeatedly, promising to rebuild the trust he had shaken. Claire, though hurt, agreed to move forward, emphasizing the importance of open communication. In the days that followed, Mark made a conscious effort to silence the voices of others and focus on the relationship he shared with Claire. He realized that love wasn't just about grand gestures or fleeting moments of happiness. It was about unwavering trust and the willingness to confront insecurities head-on. For Mark, this experience became a turning point. It reminded him of the strength of their bond and the importance of cherishing the love they had fought so hard to build. Reflection. This story holds a powerful lesson about the destructive nature of doubt and the importance of trust in a relationship. Mark's actions, though misguided, reflect a universal struggle, the fear of losing someone we love. But his journey also shows that redemption is possible when we acknowledge our mistakes and take steps to make things right. For me, the takeaway is clear. Trust is the foundation of any lasting relationship. Without it, even the strongest bonds can crumble. And while it's natural to feel insecure at times, the best way to address those feelings is through honest communication, not secrecy or tests. What about you? Have you ever faced a situation where doubt threatened to overshadow trust? How did you handle it? Let me know your thoughts below.